own show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell. We don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy, ha ha. It's a 6-Rick Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-Rick champs. There's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-Rick Kane show. The 6-Rick Kane show. The 6-Rick Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6-Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Welcome back, everybody. Adios. It's the Three Amigos this time around. It's not the Four Horsemen. It's the
Well, hopefully that means the apocalypse has been averted.
Yeah. Well, I hope so.
Which is what losing to UF would be. So
we're bringing the apocalypse to Gainesville in about 3 weeks time now. So 3.5 weeks. So really excited about that. Football season is almost here. I can't believe this is actually like the last part of the breakdown of position players. I know we got special teamers also, but they don't count apparently. But I'm just kidding. Well, we've got one of the best kickers in the game. So
we said we were doing specialists next week. So yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. Next week is specialist, and then season predictions after that, and then it's UF week.
It's UF. Oof, crazy.
Is that quick?
Crazy. Larry Bluestein in the house. What's up, Blue? What's going on, man?
Hey, busy time. Kind of ended up the summer of travel. Had good media days the last 3 weeks. Tampa area, Orlando area, and then South Florida this last weekend. So got an opportunity to see a lot of kids, talk to a lot of coaches. Those are good because even though they tell the coaches to bring 4 kids, they end up like St. Thomas bringing like 34. But yeah, it was good. The media got a chance to go one-on-one with a lot of the kids that, like the Miami kids, Ezekiel Marcelin, and yeah, it was good. St. Thomas Aquinas, coaches. But now it's time to next 2 weeks on our radio show. We're going to break down the Broward Showcase, which comes up 2 weeks from this week. So it's going to be exciting. Got a lot of local teams the first week, and then the out-of-town teams like Gorman and Bosco and Peachtree Ridge, and then Milton with our favorite quarterback in the 2025 cycle. So yeah, it's it's the weird thing is football is 8 months off and 4 months actually playing, and but when you get to this time, you say, "Wow, that went quick." No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Tell me about it. That's true.
You almost like dream of having this type of atmosphere all year round. But football is something, as we've shown on our podcast, that it does go 52 weeks a year.
It really does. And I know high school starts right around the corner. School starts, football starts, everything starts all together pretty much when it comes to high school football. And then you've got, college football starting, I think, a week after that. And you've got so many things going on right now with regards to football. We've got training camp, of course, for the Dolphins, but also for the Miami Hurricanes. I don't know if you've been out to practice yet, Blue, but we are going to get a special guest on here next week that I haven't even mentioned to you guys, by the way.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah,
You didn't run it by the group?
No, I'm trying to surprise you guys, but you guys know him really well. I think you're pretty good friends with him, Blue. We are trying to confirm, but it looks like he was going to try to do it this week, but he couldn't. So Dono was going to try to come on the show next week and talk some practice since he's been out there since.
He's been out there a few times.
Get a little bit of an update on how it's going. The good news is, as you mentioned last week, Mark Fletcher is ready to go. Akeem Mesidor is ready to go. Some of those guys have been injured a lot, are ready and are practicing. And I think that this team is really excited about getting out on the field. The coaches poll came out today. The preseason coaches poll came out today and had Miami ranked number 19th in the country.
Wow.
4 ACC teams. Round out in the top 25. You've got FSU at number 10. You've got Clemson at 14, us at 19, and then NC State, I think, 22. So you've got 4 ACC programs that are in the top 25, which is nice. I don't count Notre Dame. So, but obviously they're in the top 10 as well. So you've got some nice I believe we play all those. No, we don't play Clemson this year. But do we play NC State this year, Vish?
No.
No? Okay, so only Florida State, I guess, right? From that group, because Clemson we don't play Clemson this year.
We do play Louisville, who I think should be in that, amongst.
Yeah, but they're not ranked. They're not ranked in the top 25 right now. So
they should be, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think they lost a couple of guys last year that maybe.
A little side note: my alma mater got ranked in there 5 points for the first time in 38 years, but that's okay.
Look at that, baby.
He got 5 points.
And to answer Melissa's question, it was me. It was me today. I got in like 1 minute before we started. So, and then we actually did we did no show prep, but we just had some things to take care of before we got on. So, but here we are. We're ready to go. We're getting ready to talk the secondary today. Before we get to that, I did want to make an announcement. We are. This is something that Vish and myself and some of my family members have done in the past. We didn't do it last year. Last year was very complicated for me because of I was moving to different places and to a different home and stuff like that. So it got complicated. But we are bringing it back this year. We are going to do the annual walk to end Alzheimer's. As some of you may know that listen, if you're in the Discord over with Flo, or if Mel and some of you, my grandma actually passed away 2 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago now, from Alzheimer's and dementia. I mean, it's a terrible disease, man, and unfortunately she passed 3 weeks ago, but she did gain her angel wings, so she's obviously in a better place now. But I really want to get out there and raise up the awareness for this this incredibly terrible disease that really affects 1 in 3 adults, and whether it's whether it's themselves or their family, it affects 1 in 3 adults. So you got 3 people on here right now. And so there you go, right?
And definitely takes a toll on the entire family, obviously.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And so I definitely want to raise awareness. I've been doing a lot of research myself recently on a lot of things that could avoid or help avoid the being affected by this disease. And I definitely want to continue to raise awareness on that. So as you can see, we just posted the link for you all to be able to either join our team for the walk and donate. It's for a great cause. All the proceeds go to raising awareness, to finding a cure, and of course, still organizing the events and whatnot. So I will be out there walking. If anybody else is in town, if Fish is in town, I'm sure he did it with us a couple years ago. And anybody that wants to join the team, I would be more than happy to bring you on the team. But please, if you can, any little amount does help, whether it's $5 $5, 5 pennies. I don't care what it is. You know, I'll be more than grateful. And the link is right there. It's
It's in the chat. It's also if you're watching the replay or whatever on YouTube, it's in the description.
I also have a personal link. I don't know why.
That's the link I've been sharing. So they donate.
Is that the one? Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool.
So you help Jazz. Obviously, the proceeds go to the Alzheimer's research and support.
Yeah.
So you just donate to Jazz to help support him on his walk.
Yes, sir. So we'll be doing that, and the walk is November 16th. So I'm not even sure what that fall if the Kings game falls anywhere near that. It is a Saturday. It's a Saturday morning at FIU. So I know FIU doesn't play because it's walking around their stadium and whatnot. But I'm not even sure if we have a game or not that day. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but if it's away or not. But I'll be out there for the walk, and then if the game is at home, then I'll be out for the game after that. So, but make sure you guys go to that link, check it out. Please donate, join the team.
We have a bye that week.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
There you go. Sweet. Works out. So yeah, make sure you guys do that. Would be forever grateful. And even if it's anonymous, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I appreciate anything. So I do appreciate it. Check out that link. Just copy and paste it. And it's real easy. It's real easy to donate. So just go ahead and go on there. We'll remind you guys at the end of the show as well. So, but it's a bye week, so that's good. But speaking of bye weeks, let's kind of turn it back over to the team. As you know, as we mentioned a little bit, we've got 3 weeks to go before the Kings go up to Gainesville to take on the Gators. And you know, quite frankly, I think that Blue, we've spoken about this a little bit last week and the week before, how the defensive front seven is going to really help out that secondary that we consider to be maybe the quote-unquote weakest part of our defense. However, looking back at it and how they recruited it recently regarding the transfer portal and some of the guys that they're bringing in, looks like Miami is actually in a pretty good position there, whether it's safety or corner right now. And you've got some really good players that they were able to bring in from the transfer portal, and also some really good recruits as well. Talk to me a little bit about that secondary before we get into each position and player-wise. How do you see this secondary really producing this year, considering obviously, you know, everything else around it, the front seven is strong? How do you think they're going to be able to pan out this year?
Yeah, well, we'll change the probably the saying of it is it's not the weakest part, it's just most inexperienced. But that being said, so far in a couple of days that they've been at practice, you know, guys like Damari Brown has really stepped up, which is a good thing because, you know, here's a sophomore and somebody that, you know, we had high hopes for when he was committed and then eventually signed. So I think there's a lot of potential out there. You know, you have a couple of guys with experience, which is good. And then you have some guys with athleticism. And then you look at, you know, they're going to take when we get more in the specifics of the players, there's a couple of guys that they're going to take the wrapping off this year and let them go. Guys who were, you know, just amazing football talents and athletes in high school. And now after a year or two being in a college atmosphere, working against some really good offensive weapons, they're ready to go.
Yeah. Vish, you know, he mentioned Damari Brown, he mentioned guys like that, but I think what's going to be important also is the play of your veteran guys, right? Daryl Porter, a guy that's been here a few years now, that probably should get a little more recognition than he does. But I think that he's the guy that can come in and really set the tone for that team. Plus, you bring in a guy like Mish Powell, who's a starting safety in the national championship game last year, right? So that's got to tell you a little bit about his experience and his playmaking ability as well. How do you feel that this secondary, whether it's the DBs or the safeties, are all together? How do you think they're going to be able to, really be successful and competitive this year coming into the season?
Yeah, I mean, they'll be fine. They're probably the weakest unit on the defense, but overall they're solid. Like you mentioned, Daryl Porter he's fine. He's a solid corner. Damari Brown's also, if he can take another step forward. I think the safeties were likely to have Jaden Harris and Isaiah Taylor there, and then Mish Powell kind of in the I don't know whatever we're calling the striker / corner / safety role these days. So I think if you look at that just as a unit, that's a pretty strong 5. It's not, you can't throw on this team type of thing, but maybe with the defensive line it becomes that. But no, I don't look at anyone on and this again, some of these that we keep talking about on these previews that it's the first time I've been able to say this in a long time. You don't really look at anyone and say that person shouldn't be starting on an upper level ACC team. So I think it's fine. I think I think there are many times in the last 10 years or so that this unit would be the strongest unit on the team, but we've upgraded the talent everywhere. So I'm not really worried about it. There's not really like a playmaker in there where you're thinking they're going to, be a game changer. Although we thought we had some of that last year, and it turns out they blew big coverages instead, and maybe game changed the wrong way. But you don't really have that player where you're like, they're going to make that big interception or force that big turnover to win you the game. But I reiterate, kind of solid, should be fine. I don't think they're going to really, lose us a game.
At least we don't think we have that guy, right? Someone could all of a sudden just come out of nowhere and really be a guy that can come out and make plays. And I think, again, I like the way that I like the way that Blue put it, right? This is not necessarily the weakest team, the weakest position, but more the most inexperienced. You still got some experience, though. You've got Porter there. He's been here a while. You've got Mish Powell. You've got Jaden Harris, who's been here 2 or 3 years now. Ike Taylor coming in from Arizona. You've got some of the other guys. Look, I think a guy that could have a say in what this safety room looks like is OJ Frederic, the kid out of St. Thomas Aquinas. Based off of what I'm hearing already, he's making some major plays in practice, and he looks the part, right? We know you saw him in high school, Blue. He's a big kid already in high school, and now he comes in and very physical guy, very kind of like that ball hawk. He's always around the football, making plays. It seems like he's a pretty sure tackler, which Vish, I know we used to go crazy about that, right? We couldn't tackle worth a shit. And now you're talking about having a secondary that looks like they're physical, they're strong, they can go out there and get guys. I know I just mentioned OJ Frederic, Blue. Is he a guy that you could see maybe, even though he's a freshman, kind of coming in and really competing for playing time at the safety position?
Well, yeah, because of the inexperience, obviously a guy who, you look at Jaden Harris and guys like that who have an opportunity to be pretty special. And Markeith Williams, who's been here, this is his 3rd year. And you think that he would have an opportunity to, do something. Brian Ballum, is he ready? I mean, he's been here. This is what, 4th year coming up, 3rd, 4th year.
Wow, he's still on the team. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I don't know. Zaquan Patterson, who's probably going to be a nickel with me. Probably he and Mish Powell will probably be the nickels. Listen, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of uncertainty. And I think that things can be remedied just by playing time and getting to see how these guys do together. That's from the safety position, because to me, I think the corner spot has perhaps as much athleticism with the kid Jadarius Richard and Damari Brown. And I'll tell you a guy that I'm really anxious to see, and I think he's got an opportunity to make as many strides just because of his athleticism and what I saw him do in high school, is the kid Robert Stafford.
Yeah.
He's a 40-inch vert, got a wingspan of like a 747, and he certainly is. I mean, he's amongst the best athletes on the team. A guy could drop him, and Coach L could have him as a 7th, 8th man on the team and not hurt himself. I mean, that's just kid has an opportunity to be really special. So, like I said,
Yeah, before Melissa kills me, yes, our basketball team is really deep this year. So he ain't cracking that rotation, Blue. Sorry.
Who, Stafford?
Yeah.
Yep, there it is.
That's right, Bill. I got the.
Yeah, we went deep into the portal this time and got depth because last year we did not do that. And anyway, buckets on Wednesday. We have Coach Fitz on from the women's team, so definitely check that out. Anyway, back on topic, Blue.
Look, I think Robert. I think you're right. I think Stafford is going to have something to say. I think Diani Hill is going to be a big key in this defense. I don't know if they'll keep him outside and just rotate him with Brown and Porter, or if they'll put him in the nickel, that nickel striker position, or kind of move those guys around. He's not a huge kid, but he knows this defense, right? He played for Coach Guidry over at Marshall. He played for Coach Chevis Jackson, who's now here the cornerbacks coach, or the DB coach down here at Miami now as well. So his familiarity with this defense, I think, is going to play a huge role in his playing time. I know he's a talented kid as well. So I think that this defensive backfield is a lot more talented, I think, and a lot better than maybe we're giving it credit for. We'll see, right? They still have to perform. I think we said that, as Vish mentioned, we said that a couple years ago too with some of these players. But didn't even mention guys like Isaiah Thomas, Dylan Day. We mentioned OJ Frederick and Zaquan. Obviously, Ike Taylor is also Jason Taylor's kid. Brian Balaam, as you mentioned, Markeith Williams. I mean, there's a ton of guys there. It's just a matter of who takes it by the horn, and ends up being your starting guy. So if you had to, I guess if you had to pick, Vish, who your starting 3 defensive backs and your 2 safeties would be, who are you picking right now to be your guys?
Yeah, I think I ran through this earlier, but it's so the corners, it's Damari Brown, Darryl Porter, and Mish Powell, and the safeties are Isaiah Taylor and Jaden Harris.
Wow, so you think Ike Taylor comes in and starts?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right. I like that. I think he's talented. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's the kind of kid that's going to come in and start just because Jason Taylor is here. I think he is that talented enough to play. So I'm good with it. I like it. So what about you, Blue? What do you think?
Yeah. I did. Well, the only alternative at the free safety spot would be Balaam, and he's, I think Isaiah's had a little bit more experience. The strong, you still have Markeith Williams. If he moved over, I think he's more of a strong safety than he is a free safety. But I don't. I think they want to go 7 deep, though. I think that's what I was told. They want to at least be in a position where they're 7 deep,
right,
and they can interchange, during the game, which last year they did, and the results weren't too positive. Clem.
Yeah, well, I think that this year they do have that depth. I think I know that Mish Powell is more of a free safety type, right? So, but I still think that he starts at the safety position with Jaden Harris. I think those 2 are their safeties, and I think they put Diani Hill as a nickel to start off with Porter and Damari Brown on the other side. But the truth is that doesn't mean those are the guys that are going to get the most reps, right? It all depends on what type of offense each team is playing, is how they're going to match up. But in a base type of defense, I think that those guys are the guys I think. I think Diani Hill is going to come in and assert himself in that starting lineup and make plays. So, but you really can't go wrong if you put in Ike Taylor. I think that he's got enough experience. I think that Markeith Williams, he's talented enough to be there, to be that guy. But has he put it all together? Does he know the playbook, right? Is he going to be in the right place at the right time? And I think that was the biggest issue with Markieff was, being, kind of playing within the defense, right? Not kind of, going out there and freelancing a little bit. So I think that was the biggest issue with him, because he'll hit you and lay you out, even though he's not huge. He'll still lay you out. He's a boomer, right? But I think that he's going to get some playing time. But my dark horse is definitely OJ Frederick. What about you? Who's Vish? If you had to pick a guy that could come in and make some noise and fight someone for a starting spot, who's your dark horse on that defensive backfield?
Yeah, I'll go with Melissa's guy here, who apparently she thinks can take Joe Bates' spot in the top 10, Stafford. Because I do think, we're talking primarily about, our base defense, which will generally have three kind of corner types and then 2 safeties. But I think we're going to also, see extra DBs on the field with the way teams throw now, and especially I expect our defensive line to cause a lot of havoc and force teams in the long yardage. I think Stafford's kind of the next guy up, I would expect. So I think he'll play a lot. And when Blue mentioned 7 deep, keep in mind we're starting 5, so we're really not talking about.
Yeah, right.
We're not going that deep into the bench there to find a couple of more guys. But to Blue's point, last year when we rotated, the drop off was massive. So then we had some injuries. Now hopefully some of that pays off. This year, like Richard's got a lot of run last year he otherwise wouldn't have. So, hopefully that can help if he has to go in there. But yeah, 7 deep, we're looking for 2 others in addition into the 5 years.
I can't believe I keep forgetting Jadaeus Richards. Like, he started some games last year. And here I am like saying, oh, well, he's another guy that could easily start on this team. And I mean, starting in the SEC, albeit at Vanderbilt, but he was still starting in the SEC. So that's a guy that definitely can make some noise too. What about you, Blue? Who's your kind of your dark horse that can come in and make some noise at that position?
Well, I had said Robert Stafford early on.
Well, no, Vish stole your thunder. You got to go with someone else now.
Okay. Zaquan Patterson.
There you go. Why not, right? The best safety in the country.
What the heck,
What the heck? Let's go with him.
I forced my hand, man.
Can I tell you the truth, though, Blue? I feel like he's such an obvious pick for a guy that could break out, right, and be a stud right off the bat because he was so damn good in high school that sometimes I even forget. Like, that's right. It's Zaquan Patterson, right? It's tough. It's tough sometimes.
Right.
But it's true. He can come in and take Jaden Harris's spot. Or take, Mish Powell. Who knows?
You never know. You never know. I mean, but you even mentioned Orange Juice Frederick, though. Frederick.
He's a good player. Do you like him? Do you like OJ?
Yeah, he's a big body kid. When he was at Deerfield Beach, they kind of played him too many spots. But when he got to St. Thomas, he was more regimented at one position, and they didn't need him to do everything. But yeah, he's a big old guy, and I think that he's got a lot of athleticism. Type of kid that probably play multiple secondary positions, which is great. And we only want him to play one.
Right, exactly. And a kid that's probably not going to get as much playing time, but we saw that he's talented, right? Saw him in the All-Star game, Dylan Day.
Yeah.
Really good in the Under Armour game. So I think that's a kid that maybe a year or two from now is going to be, one of those guys that we're going to be saying that was a really good pickup by the staff. But yeah, I mean that's it. What did Mel say here? Patterson can be.
Well, these bots in the chat are getting out of control with their freaking trying to sell products.
Look at this bot. I don't know. We should start.
Yeah, this is. Where's the ban button? Yeah, but anyway, if you want, this is got 4 hoodies. They're for sale about the fans. Go there and search for hoodies. You'll see them. She was talking about Patterson being another Damari Brown, where we start to see him as the season progresses. I think we agree with that, right? I think he'll ramp up. Starting with Florida, as much as I've been insulting them because they suck, not necessarily the best time to work in a true freshman, but we'll see. But as the season goes on, then interested to get y'all's thoughts on this. Ralph says he thinks he sees Damari Brown more of a fit at nickel. What are your thoughts on that? I see him on the edge more. But
yeah, I do too.
So do I. And the reason why is because he's very physical and he can match up with the bigger wide receivers better. Typically, you're going to see your bigger wide receivers on the outside, not necessarily on the inside. You know, he's what? He's maybe 6'1", 6'2", maybe. Blue.
Yeah,
He's a big
6'1"
kid,
and a
right?
half, 6'2", yeah.
Yeah, big kid, 190, 200 pounds, strong, you know, physical guy. I think that's going to play a factor in him staying out there. You know, now, you know, you may see some formations where, you know, you want one of those big guys to cover a tight end that maybe have maybe a team that we're playing has one of these big time tight ends. Then you might see something like that where he's just gonna spy that tight end or whatever you call it, just kind of lock him down the whole time. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm not saying he can play the nickel, right? I'm saying
No.
I think he definitely could, but I think you're taking away from a big physical guy that can play those big wide receivers outside. Now, if there's no big outside wide receivers, then yeah, you can mess around with it a little bit. But I think that if you're going to have a big guy like that, like size-wise, maybe a 6'4" type wide receiver, then you might want to have some guy that's physical out there kind of covering him on that side. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. That's what did Ralph say? He can run with the tight ends and bigger running backs. That's why. Yeah, I get that. That's why I just mentioned that. I mean, if it's a big tight end or whatnot, then maybe. But another Ralph. Look at that. Ralph and Raph. Excuse me. Ralph and Raph. Brown not mentioned by the injury for nickel. Yeah. Again, I think he's an outside guy. So we'll see what happens there. Let us know. Let us know in the chat who you guys think should be the starting defensive backfield. Typically going with two outside guys, a nickel, and two safeties. So if you guys got something to say in the chat, go ahead and post your comments there as we continue to move it forward here. Blue, I heard that you think that this guy that just flipped to Miami, Mr. Dante Simpson, kid out of Chaminade, a defensive tackle out of Chaminade, defensive lineman, big kid, rated as 3-star right now. Who cares about that? He plays for one of the best teams in the country in Chaminade, Madonna over there. Has just flipped his commitment from Maryland to Miami. Big-time prospect. I know you mentioned that he is a dude. Someone said that you said he is a dude. Talk to me about Dante Simpson.
Cheat code. He's the cheat code. I'm telling you, he's big-time guy. I covered his dad back in the day, who played at South Broward, was a really good football player, but a really good wrestler as well. I watched this kid last year, and and he just, especially in the Bergen game when they beat the pants off of Bergen Catholic last year, and he's quick. He's 6'3". He was a running back in youth league, so I mean, he, this is a kid that has agility. It's sort of like when I always equate it, because obviously I follow wrestling, but it's when you get a kid who is little and he learns all the, like ankle picks and singles and doubles, and then he becomes 6'4" and 280, and he still does that. See, right. So the athleticism that he brings to the table at 6'3", 280, he still has that. He not only is one of those big guys, but he's gradually grown into his body, and still never lost, that athleticism that like he had when he was younger. So, and I watched him the last couple of years really mature and became, and it's no surprise. I think I'm not a star guy, but he's not a 3-star. You'll see.
Yeah. Well, and he still probably has some room to grow into that body at this point still, right? He's a 2025 kid, but
yeah,
he can still grow into it a little bit.
And he's still looking. He even told me tonight that he can't wait to get on campus so he could, pick Ruben Bain's brain and listen and try to be, have him as his mentor. That's pretty nice. You don't see a lot of guys that.
Not a bad one to have as your mentor.
No, but that's what he said. He said, I'm ready to, whenever I can contact him, I'm going to contact him this year and talk a little bit about, the position and what I could do better. So, I mean, that's pretty damn good. A kid's just going to be a sophomore and he's already carrying that much prestige. But yeah, it's just like, a couple of weeks ago when everybody was, they pick on these kids that Miami gets. because someone deems them 3 stars, and those guys that deem them 3 stars have never seen them play a game. They watch them on film and they watch them in shorts and t-shirts. And then all of a sudden, and I'll tell you what, I said this at the media days over the weekend. The craziest thing about recruiting is you got a kid, Derek Cooper, who was a part-time kid at Gibbons last year, because obviously he should have been playing. But, and he left because of the fact that, you know, he was angry that he didn't get more playing time. And I can understand it, because he's a kid that I've watched since, when he was 8, and know the mom real well. Well, he goes to Chaminade, and he went to one event, the Under Armour camp. And he went from Frank Tucker and I I knew about him, and I told Frank. He went from nobody, not one person there knowing who he was, from that camp, and all of a sudden became the 16th ranked kid in the state at 2026.
Wow.
And now, we're talking the kid's never played a game with Chaminade. Now he's ranked within the top 20 players in the country for 2026. Been offered by Georgia. He committed, then decommitted. But I'm saying, if anybody's listening, think about this recruiting process. When you're ranking kids that high without ever watching them play a game, that's, to me, a problem. It's a big problem. He's going to be great.
With a lot of these ranking systems, is that they're ranking people. They don't have enough time to get to every single player. So they're ranking some of these guys based off of maybe a little tape that they saw, or nothing at all. Or maybe they're just hearsay, right? Maybe one guy doesn't like him as much as the other, and there it goes. That's how they. It's stupid.
Jazz, I can understand it, if a kid, is being ranked in the lower, realm, but not in the top 20 without ever watching him play. You got to at least see him play, and like guys like Andrew Ivins, who's now a national guy for 247, and they wrote him up, and they're acting like they watched them all last year, and they didn't. They did.
Right.
I know nobody knew a damn thing about him until that event, and then he became. He went to the Under Armour, to the IMG deal, invitees for the underclassmen a couple weeks ago, and was the MVP. So, yeah. And that's why I said, a guy like him, that's why I look at these rankings. And that's why this year I went away to all those events and to 11 colleges and saw almost 3,000 kids in over 200 schools, because I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy who ranks a kid without ever watching them, because the rankings, when you're ranking somebody, when you rank somebody higher than another person, and that person questions you, hey, wait a minute, how come he's ranked higher than me? I've been this, I've been that. They got a valid point. The ranking systems, like you said, everybody can't be anywhere, everywhere. So you rely on your people to say, hey, listen, I watched the guy, he's got potential. I don't think he's an upper crust kid yet, but he will be. And, and it may be because I'm an OG that I did this all my life by going, instead of relying on what people put on the internet, or, they text you all I didn't have that, luxury for the first 28, 30 years that I did this. So, you had to go and see to compare, and same thing. I remember watching Edgerrin James. And some guy that I saw ranked Edgerrin James as a 1AA player. Well, I went to see him play. And he was my number 1 junior in the whole state. I said, you got to be kidding me. So that's what I say. These guys are ranking people because, you'll get a coach to tell somebody, a high school coach, and he may personally not like the kid, and then say, well, he's okay. Or his attitude's horrible. And then that brands the kid. See, to me, now, if you went to see him and, this is the thing, like, I'm sorry, like you look back at Zach Thomas at 5'7.5", 225 pounds, running a 4.7. If I told you he was going to be in the Hall of Fame, you got to be kidding me. But he was a great football player. And because maybe he didn't run that 4.45, he knew the angles as a linebacker to cut down those tenths of seconds to get there and make the play. And he knew how to tackle. And that's the one thing Jonathan Vilma told me, that the hardest thing when he got out of high school and going into college was to learn how to tackle. He didn't tackle. He pushed kids down. He was so strong, much stronger than those guys. He would just like shoulder them down or push them down. But when he got at Miami, he had to learn how to wrap up, because you couldn't do that to guys that he played against. You know, like the really good running backs that have, you know, like a Tyrone Moss. You're not going to push Tyrone Moss down. But that's the thing that I say. And I know, and you make a great point. You can't see everybody, but be wise on who you get your information from. You know, and that's how the kids are. You know, I've been putting up like on the internet the last couple of weeks, because I have the top like 100 lists back to 1970 something. So I put them up, and people say, "Jesus, how can they have all luck at 59?" Or I said, because it could be coming from a guy who never saw him play, but heard, he's got a good arm, but he can't do this, and that's why, and then, everybody takes shots. Like you got 2 Heisman Trophy winners. That was Tim Brown, who was like 74th ranked in his class. But, that's, like Kyle Wright was the number 1 player in the country. And he could have been, if he didn't have 4 offensive coordinators in 4 years here and was on his ass 36 times. Right. But that's the thing, it's tough to rank kids coming out of high school if you don't really see them.
Well, it's also really hard to project, and so
100%.
they
100%.
Kyle Wright still looked the part, had the arm strength, but you can't, as you said, when the game, you mentioned Vilma was able to just push people down, then really had to learn how to tackle. That's a college, same thing, quarterbacks. They got to learn to get through their progressions more quickly, all those types of things, which it's hard to simulate on the high school level, and sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. So
yeah. But Vic, if you have 4 different offensive coordinators in 4 different years, and you had an offensive line that would never let you, as soon as you got the ball, they were on your ass, it makes a difference. If he goes to a different school and plays 4 years for, one, or even now, let's say he got here and played with 1 coordinator for 3-4 years, and the offensive line is what it is now, because I watched his tape coming out of high school, and I will say it to this day, it's the best high school tape I've ever seen, ever. And I show it to people now without them knowing who it is. And they go, "Holy Christmas, this kid makes some throws." I said, "Yeah." I said, he really never achieved at the college level. And they couldn't believe it. And that's the thing, that you see a lot of athletic ability and a lot of skill in these kids, but a lot of them don't coach these kids up. And that's what Miami went through, as you know, with all these coaching staffs. They got kids, but they never coached them up. You're going to tell me that Duke Johnson and Tracy Howard got any better than they were? They just got more mature and older. They never got any better. Duke was a stud. Tracy was a stud, but they never got coached up while they were here.
And when it's a position like quarterback too, it's,
I know.
It's worse. Because you can if you're Duke Johnson, you can run the daylight. If you're a quarterback and you're not coached up on, again, even with some, using Kara as an example, whose mechanics were basically perfect coming in. He looked, if you watched his, obviously Blue Den shows it to people, he look up quarterback in the dictionary is the prototype. And yet,
no doubt.
You put them in an environment where it's difficult to succeed.
Well, the one thing,
no guarantee.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm finished.
No, go for it.
Well, I was going to say the one thing that when I talked to Mario Cristobal when he first got there, and I told you, Jazz, that the one thing he asked me, he says, "Jesus, they get all these kids. What do you think's the problem?" I said, "They're not getting coached up." And he looked at me, he says, "That ain't going to happen here." So that's a good thing, but I look back at all those regimes of Mark Richt and Manny Diaz, and they were in and out so fast. They never established anything. And I think, that's what's happening. I think that's why Miami coaches burn the midnight oil. They watch so much tape. They work with kids, and, like Kevin Beard, you got to figure that Kevin Beard's making a huge difference with the wide receivers. I mean, Restrepo's Restrepo. It doesn't matter where he played or who he played with. He's going to be him because he's got the ability, to catch and run. And from the 30 in, he's as lethal as anybody in college football. Because he runs great patterns and he's going to get paired with the safety and he's just going to beat them. But your guys like Jacoby and kids that came on last year, I think with Josiah, I think Josiah is going to make huge strides because of somebody like that. Nye Carr is just going to jump out the building because you got a guy like Kevin Beard who's obviously a really good quarterback coach, and he's proved it wherever he's been. He's a no-nonsense guy, plays no favorites. And he told me when Ray was a freshman, and I said, "Hey, how's Ray doing?" He goes, "He's not a worker." And that's what he said to me. But then by the end of the year, he came back and I said, "How's Ray doing?" He says he's getting it. So that's what I'm saying. You could predict all you want, and as Vish said, it's awfully tough. And linemen are probably the hardest to predict because of their growth spurt and because of, you become, if you're 6'3", 270, and all of a sudden you're 6'5", 290, 310, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, speaking of that development, like you're seeing it already, right? Look at the accolades that Jason Taylor is getting for Recruiter of the Year, one of the top recruiters of the in the country. Kevin Beard, the same thing, right there on those lists now, where you really didn't have that in some other regimes here when there was other coaches here. So I think it's a testament to what they're doing and how they're developing these guys. So I think that's why I think guys like Chevis Jackson and even Coach Guidry to a certain degree are going to make a big difference for this secondary. And, this is the second year. I think last year with Adai, he was a great coach and he helped, development of Cam Kitchens and whatnot. Cam Kitchens was just a special guy to begin with, right? And then, and some of the other guys that played well, but there was still some issues. And I think there was a lot more than just the coaching. But, now you bring in a guy like Jackson who, these guys are relating to. And I think that's a great hire, a great opportunity to come in and develop some of the guys that you have in here now. He's familiar with the system. He understands what it's going to take. And I think that you're going to see that. You're going to see these defensive backs progress and get really good as the season goes along. So I think that's a huge thing. And you'll see it. You'll see it later on the next 2 or 3 years. You'll see the difference in some of these guys that are coming in now. So really excited about that. I think that the addition of Dante Simpson was a nice one, and I think we'll have some more, of course, with the early signing period coming up in the next couple of months now, right? I guess. Well, it's December, so we still got some time.
Yeah.
Still got some time, but it's gonna get crazy now with the season starting. So
yeah, we got a couple of games to play between now and December. So
yeah,
we
got just a few.
Maybe focus.
It's crazy, but anyways, we got a nice show tomorrow. Before we get to that, nice show next week. But before we get to that, again, I wanted to kind of just mention the Alzheimer's website. If you didn't hear it at the beginning. I will be raising money to raise awareness for Alzheimer's, dementia, and other forms of dementia such as Lewy body, Parkinson's disease, and so many other ones. Please make sure you go ahead, donate here. We are it's donating to my team, or you can join the team yourself as well, and be a part of the walk. It is November 16th is when the walk is going to be. We do walk for a cause for my grandmother who recently passed away from Alzheimer's dementia. I know there's a lot of you out there that have dealt with it before or are dealing with it now. And some of you have reached out to me already, so I do appreciate that. And just make sure you go onto that website. It's real easy. Just go on. It says donate and join the team. You can go ahead and do join, or you can just donate itself. Any little bit helps, and you can join us in the walk November 16th. We have a bye that week, so it works out perfectly. I didn't even realize it, but God has bigger plans. So there you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the man up above knows a little bit.
He knows a little bit, man. He knows a little bit. So November 16th,
Right.
bye week, perfect time to come out and walk
Nice.
with us at FIU, at Ricardo Silva Stadium. That's where the walk
Oh,
starts.
yeah, FIU. That's nice.
Yeah, it's at FIU. So it'll be a nice little time out there with
Sweet.
a bunch of Canes fans. We'll do it big. It'll be fun to do, and obviously it helps a good cause. We're trying to
Great
see if we
cause.
can the
Great
cure.
cause.
So
No doubt. Hey, Vish, technology. Here we
I
go.
was about to say, are we gonna get
We got it.
some show and tell here?
We
All
can
right.
bring you back. Gotta
now,
bring you back
now we got show and tell with Blue.
Before we do the fun, I'm sure Jazz will.
Thank you, Ralph. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, let's
Technology.
what do we got here?
1975.
Oh, geez.
Look at the schedule.
What do we got? We got for Oklahoma, Nebraska, Colorado, Houston, FSU, Navy, Notre Dame, Florida, Georgia Tech, Boston College.
That's a nice schedule, man.
Fans would go crazy if you played that schedule these
Well,
days.
I mean,
And
the
I have
records
another
record showed up, so
I'm going to bring you back to the Miami San Diego State game of November of 1991.
Was that little Marshall Falk action that day, right?
Yeah.
That guy was electric. One of the
yeah,
best.
he was. That was the hype was whether or not he could, run against.
Told you that, and they, back in the day, they had some dudes. I
Yeah.
mean, these early '90 things, and yeah. But that's it.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, I did look it up, Blue. You probably already knew this, but that schedule you held up, that team went 2-8. So
yeah, well, there you go. Like I said, what a great schedule.
Yeah,
it's a great schedule. However, especially at that point,
Not a
the
great
program
record.
that was not the schedule to be playing at that point.
Oh, my
2-8.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't.
I mean,
Who's
it
the
was
starting
the-
quarterback?
it was the Carl Selmer era. So the wins were against Houston and you know what? Went into Tallahassee and won.
There you go. I wonder what their record was.
Those are the two wins. So let me see if I can find this.
Houston
Hold
and
on.
FSU. Jeez.
Yeah, and then lost the rest of them.
Wow.
Crazy
let's see.
stuff,
FSU
huh?
went 3-8 that year.
Okay. All right. Not much better.
So it's all it was not a good time here.
Who was the quarterback on that 75 team, huh?
A Miami's quarterback?
Yeah.
I'd probably say E.J. Baker, but let me see who it was.
I don't know if I have that information, Jess. I'm looking
Probably
through.
did.
Hold on. I'm waiting for. I know lead on that.
No, you think
Well,
I know-
E.J. Baker was a freshman on that team. So
No, I think that is so.
you got Frank Glover, who was his dad was a referee, NFL referee. He's from Atlanta, one of the very few Miami got. Now I think he was in the mix. Carrie Baker, Carrie Baker out of Edison.
I wasn't sure. I was gonna add because I've got the stats in front of me or previous.
E.J.
stats.
Baker, Carrie Baker, and Frank Glover. So who?
Yeah, so it was the three quarterbacks that played that year. I obviously don't know who these people are, so I was going to ask if Carrie Baker and E.J. Baker are the same person. I'm assuming not.
No, Carrie Baker went to Edison. E.J. Baker's from the Lakeland.
Okay, so E.J. Baker didn't play at all that year. Carrie Baker took a majority of the snaps, and then Frank Glover played a little bit, and then so George Mason.
Okay, Jordan Mason's probably one of those walk-ins that they didn't give a jersey to.
Yeah, so those are your three quarterbacks that took a snap.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, so it's a little history in the Miami Hurricane folklore there.
Yeah, and still beat FSU. That's always a good thing.
I'll take that.
When you see that, when you see that record, they put it up there and we're like 2 games above them in the wins or whatever. Hey, that win mattered.
Yeah.
Right, it did. Yeah, right.
One of the two. If you're gonna win 2 games, then one of them better be against FSU. So
I do want to tell Mel that I got a chance to see the 2024 edition of the Taravella Trojans the other day. They need you to pray for them.
Yeah, they're not the Taravella of old, the Dan Morgan Taravella.
They're not the Dan Morgan era Taravella.
Well, while we're on
Trojans.
the subject, how is Palmetto gonna look this year? Since you're doing her
Miami Palmetto?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
That's
They'll be in the mix with Columbus and Western in 7A. They were there the other day. They have a couple of dudes. They have the kid Dixon's going to Notre Dame.
Oh, that's not good. I gotta go talk to
yeah,
his teachers.
I didn't know you went to Palmetto.
Let's say do something about the academic eligibility for Notre Dame and get them to come to Miami.
I guess we got to finish it off with another local public school. Talk to me about my Cobras. Are they going to?
Oh my God! Hey, the weird thing is somebody goes, "Who's coaching at South Miami now?" And I didn't even know.
No one knows who is the coach over there.
Well, it was Coach Knight, and he's gone. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Well, maybe we'll have some good news. Although there are 2 linemen. We're not a football school.
Terrible, huh?
What
When
are
I
you?
was in school, Palmetto was not a football school either. So
No,
changed.
but they are now. They
Yeah.
Coach Manasco. Did you go to school with Manasco? Because he went there, the head coach. I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm not as old as you, but I'm pretty damn old to remember who
No,
I
I
went to high
don't think
school
you're that old.
with.
But South Miami kept their 2 linemen that didn't go anywhere, and maybe it's because they fed them the rice and beans at lunch, and they wouldn't get that at Columbus or something like that.
I
Right.
think you can get that at Columbus, actually.
Are
I don't
they
think that's
Hispanic
the difference.
Hispanic guys?
But South, Diaz and Lopez, and
Yeah, I mean,
it's like Braddock the year that they had a real good team, and they tried it, and they had all these South Ridge type of kids, but they tried it out all the Lopez, Ramirez, Gonzalez's who were like 5'8", 180, and
they had
then
a
all
really
of a
good
sudden
running back.
then these 6'3", 230-pound guys that came out, and you go, oh, wait a minute, they didn't grow up around here.
Oh boy.
But I'll tell you though that they as we call them, the Rice and Beans Conference with Varela and all those schools with Braddock and Ferguson. You see, that's the thing. I tell people this, and a lot of these schools are so bent on being in districts with Northwestern and all. To me, last year Ferguson finished 11-1, right?
Wow.
They got rings as the champions of Sunshine, whatever conference they were in. And in 10 years, who could give 2 craps? They're going to have a ring, and they're going to look back at 11-1 season, and who cares who they played?
Yeah.
And that's keeping programs like Braddock and Ferguson and Coral Park, and Coral Reef relevant, or at least, because it's not.
You can't control that. Just beat who's put in front of you, and that's it.
No doubt. So, South Miami's baseball program has gone south too, but that's because of programs like Matter Academy and, those charter schools just diced up those public schools.
Right.
But that's it. That's all I have to say for this week. And
well, maybe not. Do you want to do a quick, since you got asked a question?
Yeah, he's not bad at all. Yeah, no, he's good. That's the one thing I was going to say, that when I went up to that Orlando thing, I think I told you guys this last week, those guys, like, not Campbell, but the other kid, Tremaine Campbell, whatever his name is, from Orange.
Demetrius.
Demetrius Campbell from Orlando Christian Prep. And Jaden Wilkerson. Jesus, Wilkerson looks like he's in the NFL now. He's like 6'6". And then obviously, Buchanan and then Melendez. But yeah, to answer your question, Campbell's really, really good. And he's got a lot of size to him. And I think he's going to, that's the thing. These kids, and the one thing too about linemen now, as opposed to 5-10 years ago, there's more line camps during the off season to get work on your footwork, to work on your technique. So I think that's given the linemen an opportunity to become better now too. But that's it. Next week I'll have more stuff. I'll dig in back into the 80s, 90s, where you guys at least seen the players.
What is this, KC's top 40 or what? I'm down though. I'm good with it.
Yeah, we do have buckets on Wednesday, as I mentioned earlier. Fitzroy Anthony's the top assistant coach on the women's team, will be joining us. We got a crap load of questions to ask him. He's a holdover from Coach Meyer's staff too. That so we're gonna ask him about that.
Cavender twins back now?
Yeah, they are.
They are on campus. Yes. Well, I don't know if they go to class. Wow. They're on the basketball team.
They've graduated, so
yeah.
They're just hanging out.
Yeah,
I guess
making money.
Yeah, they're doing off-season workouts, so they're all on campus.
Okay, good.
Make sure you check them out on Wednesday on
9 p.m. Yep, 9 p.m. We're gonna lead off the show with Fitz, so definitely check that out.
We'll be back next Monday to cover safeties. I'm sorry, safeties.
Specialists.
Teams. The specialist, and maybe dive into some more recruiting news. And then after
We
that,
got Alex
Yeah.
Dono coming on.
Yeah,
No?
apparently.
we got Alex
Apparently. That was news to all of us, Blue, but apparently
Yeah,
Dono's coming on.
Donald at this point. We'll see if Donald
He's
wants
gonna just show up backstage and be like, "What the hell's Dono doing?"
Oh man, that was
Maybe I'll call up one of the recruits that could talk good, and we'll get him on.
I think maybe that you should do that. I think that would be a great idea. We've got
Right,
to
that's-
fill some time.
Yeah, we have them on usually, but we only have a couple of minutes. So if they're no good, we can. Okay, thanks a lot. We'll see you
Right.
later.
Exactly.
Don't give away the truth, man. I know we do know show prep, but show prep during the show probably worse than us.
Yeah, much better.
We'll just make this interview. Oops, is this thing on?
I got to tell Mel that Jazz has his fan on too. So there you go.
I do. You see that?
I
Yeah,
do.
look
It's-
at
I do.
it.
You can't see it, but I've got one on. Up there
Oh,
as
it's
well.
because that's our
Wow.
tribute to DJ.
That's
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
DJ. You're in our hearts, my man.
It's like it's pouring one out for him.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so after we do specialists next week, then the week after that is what I'm sure everyone's been waiting for. Yeah, Melissa will hop in for a bit too, because we are going to be doing our that's a
We're gonna
2
do a
season
5
prediction
reasons-
show.
5 Reasons Canes football prediction. Maybe if we can get Matty Ice.
Yeah, we can see we get Matt in there too.
Matt
Matt and his California ways are a little bit more difficult time zone wise, but we'll see if we can pull him in.
Wow, that
There's
was
a reason Buckets is on it like these really late times.
I know.
He's like, I just got home from work. I'm like, oh, boy.
Maybe we can bring him on like towards the
Yeah.
end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see if we can get him in there too to do predictions. But Melissa will definitely be in there, and then
There we go. I
yeah,
love it.
and then
I love
Blue and
it. I
DJ
love
will pick us to win 6 games again. But I'm optimistic.
Me too. Well, I mean, you guys don't want to hear Vicious prediction. Not yet. Not yet.
No, you got to wait 2 weeks for the grand unveiling of that. So
Not yet.
that's in 2 weeks, and then again after that, the week after that is
It's go time, man.
it is a UF week then. So obviously we're previewing that.
All right, make sure you guys check out that Alzheimer's site. That link. Click on the link. Donate there. Help us
Yeah,
out.
it's in the show description too. So if you didn't catch it in the chat, it's in the description. So definitely click
That's
through
right.
there.
We'll talk about it next week again on Monday. So, but if you have anything and you want to reach out, just go ahead and reach out to us on Twitter at 5 Reasons Canes. And make sure you subscribe to the 5 Reasons Canes podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you get your podcast. And, we do appreciate everybody listening and watching. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys next Monday. Adios.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.